I failed the mission. The system said I'd be erased. That day I looked at Willow one last time and said, "You still have time to change your mind. This is your final chance." But she just gave me a cold glance, her eyes shifting toward the 10 young models standing beside me. Models? She scoffed. I'd called them over maybe out of defiance, maybe out of desperation. A few days later, she came looking for me, clearly panicked. She'd seen some rumors online stories that I'd coughed up blood, but by then it was already too late. I was done. I had spent 7 years chasing Willow. Now she was about to marry Makoto, the man who had just come back into her life. Her eyes were like ice when she handed me a check for 100 million. As we agreed, she said flatly, "This is your payment for being my stand-in." I just stared at the check in silence. Then the system's voice rang in my head. Mission failed. Erasure in 10 days? What could I even say? 100 million. Was that the value of 7 years? Couldn't I at least enjoy a little of it before I disappeared? I picked up the check with a bitter smirk. "System," I asked, "is there any way to fix this?" "No," it replied, cold and final. "AB." Willow thought I still couldn't let her go. She hesitated for a moment, then said, "That's already plenty. Please don't bother me or Makoto again." "Fine." I stood up, gripping the check. 7 years of pretending to be the perfect man, loving, patient, always there. And now, I had 10 days left. Only 10. I stared at my phone screen, scrolling through contacts. Willow seemed like she wanted to say something. George, actually, but I had already called David. "David, you're nearby, right? Send over 10 models immediately." 10? Are you serious? What about your health? Just send them. Pay whatever it takes. I've sent my location. I want them here in 10 minutes. Willow? Oh, we broke up. Hurry. 9.5 minutes left. After I hung up, I looked over at Willow. Her face was twisted with emotion. "What were you about to say?" I asked. Her face turned red. "You're just doing this to provoke me, aren't you?" I gave her a relaxed smile. "Miss Liu? Boss Liu? Would I want to provoke you?" "I've been quiet for so long. Can't I enjoy myself a little now?" "Don't worry, I won't bother you or Makoto again." She didn't respond. Finally, she muttered, "You'd better remember that." I nodded and turned toward the entrance as the 10 women stepped out of a luxury car. They smiled shyly and greeted me. "Hello, brother." The attention was overwhelming. My head spun. I walked out with them, but just before I reached the door, I turned to Willow one last time. Her expression was tight. "Still have time to regret this?" I said softly. "This is your final chance." She looked stunned, her eyes darting. "Between me and the women, I don't need to regret anything," she replied sharply. "With habits like yours, even 100 million won't last a month." "Don't come crawling back later." "Don't worry," I said. "I keep my promises. A month. I didn't even have 10 days. I turned away, but there was this heavy feeling in my chest I couldn't ignore. Maybe it was just my body reacting. One of the girls beside me reached out and held my hand. For years, Willow and I had kept our distance from the opposite sex outside of work. But this time, I held her hand. Then another girl reached for the other. I took that one too. Hand, then two. Behind me, I could feel Willow watching. "Let's go," I said. "First, stop the bank. Then I'm treating everyone to a feast." After transferring the check into my own account, I took the girls to the best restaurant in City A. We booked the whole place, ordered every one of my favorite dishes. After dinner, we wandered the city. There were so many places I had always wanted to visit but never had the chance. That night, we danced, drank, laughed under flashing neon lights. And then, for a brief second, I thought I saw her Willow in the crowd. That same cold expression. But no, it was just a paparazzo. "Excuse me, are you Mr. George?" He asked. "Don't you care if Miss Willow is heartbroken over what you're doing?" "Heartbroken?" I raised a brow. We broke up. "Are you drinking to forget her? Is this your way of coping?" I laughed. "Forget her? No. I'm finally living the life I wanted. These past few years were suffocating. Honestly, if you hadn't brought her up, I might have forgotten about her completely. The truth was never really close to her. I was just a stand-in, a convenient tool she used when her family didn't approve of her true love. Yes, she cried for me. Yes, she helped me behind the scenes. But she never gave me her heart. There's a whole world ahead. A new mission. A new target, Willow. She was just a stop along the way. Annoyed, I waved at the girls. Let's go. Then I turned to the paparazzi. Take your pictures. Write whatever you want. Just stop following me. Then I left for the hotel with the girls. How many rooms? The front desk asked. 1. The presidential suite. The next morning, I woke up nauseous. Stumbled into the bathroom. I vomited violently. Then came the blood. Panic hit me. The pain twisted deep inside. I collapsed to the floor. System, I gasped. What's happening? This body is shutting down, it replied. Stage 4, stomach cancer. I had seen the diagnosis weeks ago, but I didn't care then. I told Willow about it, but that same day Makoto had asked her out. She looked at me with mockery in her eyes. Someone like you would get sick. You're better off dead. Her wish was coming true. System, I whispered. Can I leave early? The pain's too much. No, then use the fruit. From the store? The one that numbs pain. No pain, no gain. Are you sure? Fruit costs points earned from completing multiple worlds? Do it. The red fruit appeared. I ate it, melted on my tongue like it was never there. The pain vanished instantly. The effect is temporary, the system warned. You'll still bleed, still suffer, but you won't feel the pain. That's fine, I said. That's enough. The girls woke up and helped me get dressed. We headed down to the lobby and there she was. Willow, standing next to Makoto. Mr. George, would you like to extend your stay in the suite? The front desk clerk asked loudly. Of course, I said, handing over my card without hesitation. I could feel Willow's gaze burning into my back, but I didn't look at her. We walked past them in silence. My days were packed. The bah. Girls sightseeing, eating, shopping, drinking. Online, the headlines blew up. George and the 10 Beauties, real-life bond. Living his best life. Most of the comments were harsh. Judgmental. But I didn't care. I didn't have much time left anyway. To be safe, I hired bodyguards. I couldn't afford any delays. Every minute counted. Every day became a celebration, non-stop parties, loud laughter, flashing lights. I didn't want to waste a second. Then one night, just as we were about to head into a bar, Makoto showed up. You got something to say? I asked. Can we talk? He said. Say it here. I'm in a hurry. He hesitated, then said, You're just mad I ended up with her, aren't you? It's fate. You should move on. Stop showing off. Making her uncomfortable. I stared at him for a moment. Then I laughed. You really think this is about her? That I'm heartbroken over Willow? He stayed silent. You think this is revenge? I continued. You don't even know what revenge looks like. My mind flashed back to a man I met in another world, paralyzed, betrayed. That was real pain. I looked at Makoto again. His face, it looked too much like mine. 7 years ago, Willow only chose me because I looked like him. Even when she whispered she loved me, she called me by his name. She never loved me. Now she was marrying him. Their wedding was tomorrow. I had seen the billboard. Again her hand in his, their announcement glowing bright in the city lights. Today was day 9. My heart should have ached. Maybe it did. But the red fruit numbed even that. Paparazzi kept snapping photos. Makoto just stood there watching me. You're getting married tomorrow, huh? I said with a smile. Congratulations. He started to say something, but I cut him off. No, really. Congrats. Then I turned and walked away with the girls. We kept partying, but inside something felt off. I couldn't shake the feeling. Makoto's words had ruined my mood. I sighed. Maybe if I drank more, I could drown it all. I'd forget everything, just feel good again. I lifted my glass, forcing a laugh as I looked around at the 10 girls surrounding me. They were laughing, carefree, loud. The table was overflowing with colorful drinks. "Let's mix them all together," I said, pointing. "We'll make a depth charge." They giggled excitedly, mixing the bright cocktails. I picked up a light purple one and downed it in one gulp. "Look at me, impressive, right?" They clapped and cheered. Feeling bold, I grabbed another glass. But just as I lifted it to my lips, a sharp, metallic taste hit the back of my throat. I leaned forward and vomited blood. Brother were. "You okay?" one of the girls cried out. "Did you just throw up blood?" I coughed hard, waving my hand like it was nothing. No, I'm fine. Let's keep drinking. I was just showing off how awesome I am, remember?" I raised my glass again, but this time I didn't even get it halfway up. Another mouthful of blood burst out. It splashed straight into the purple drink, turning it a deep crimson. I couldn't stop. The blood kept coming wave after wave until it soaked the table. Oh, brother. The girls were panicking now. Voices full of fear. Paparazzi were still snapping photos as bar staff rushed over in a panic. I glanced at my phone. Midnight. Day 10. Right on cue, entertainment news blew up. George vomits blood. Later that night, I quietly paid the bill and left with the girls. The crowd had grown thick, suffocating. Thankfully, the bodyguards I hired cleared a path. Some people still tried to follow me, but I'd been a racer in another world. I knew how to lose a tail. Eventually, I shook everyone off and drove out of the city, parking in a quiet, empty spot surrounded by trees. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing, notification after notification. George's sudden personality shift. George vomits blood on Willow's wedding DIs. It a coincidence? Inside Willow and Makoto's lavish wedding calls and messages flooded. So did the hate. "You're pathetic, George," ruining their wedding. "Really? Why don't you just disappear already? They were meant for each other. You were just a stand-in." I stared at the screen. I knew this world wasn't real, just another mission, another illusion, but the words still stung. I noticed David was calling. "George, I sent the girls home." I cut him off. "Their payment has been transferred to your agency. Please confirm it." "Is now really the time to talk about money?" he snapped. "What's going on with you? You told me they were supposed to help you move on from Willow. So what is all this?" I looked up at the stars. I didn't plan any of it. I didn't know I'd start throwing up blood. There was a long pause, then David asked. It looked real. "Don't tell me you're—" "Yeah," I said. "I'm dying. You're serious?" His voice cracked. "What the hell, George? You have money. Get treatment. Where are you? I'll come get you." I felt a deep sadness rise inside. I didn't want to keep talking. I didn't want help. "I don't want treatment," I said softly. Then I hung up. David kept calling, but I didn't answer. I muted my phone, lit a cigarette, and stared out at the scenery. It was quiet, still, peaceful. The moonlight poured down like water. In the trees, I spotted a long-tailed tit, small, fluffy, white, like a tiny snowball with wings. Without thinking, I took a photo. My first instinct was to send it to Willow. Some habits are dangerous. She used to love these birds. Every time I sent her one, she'd smile like a child. I opened our old chat, but her message was already waiting.
"Hi, George.
You're pathetic." Pretending to cough blood just to ruin my wedding with Makoto. Disgusting. Her words hit like a punch to the chest. I couldn't breathe, even with the window open. Forget it. I wasn't going to send her anything. I'd forgotten we'd broken up. I hadn't broken my old habits. It was my mistake. Instead, I posted the bird photo on my public feed. "A nimble little snowball," I captioned it. Within seconds, the post exploded. "Ruining someone's wedding, George? That's your new low. Why aren't you dead yet? See you at your funeral next year." I regretted posting it almost immediately. David's messages flooded in again, and he started commenting publicly. "George, pick up. Answer me. And if you don't respond, I'm leaking the recording." Then another notification popped up. "Willow liked your post." Moments later, she left a comment. "I've always been marrying Makoto. I'm not your possession. If you really loved me, you'd let go." A good ex should act like he's dead. Bitterness surged through me. My hands trembled as I scrolled. I deleted all her contact info. The notifications kept coming. People saying every cruel thing they could think of. I didn't read them. I couldn't. Why did I feel like this? Wasn't I supposed to be numb? I swore under my breath. System, you gave me defective goods. Negative, the system replied. You are immune to physical pain. Emotional stress is not affected, so I'm just too upset, I muttered. Correct. I clenched my teeth. It didn't physically hurt, but it was unbearable. Her words replayed over and over in my mind. A good ex should act like he's dead. I tightened my fists. If only I wasn't this weak. Wanted to show them what real revenge looked like. But what was the point? How long? Will this feeling last? System? I asked. 6 to 7 hours, it answered. Then the emotional distress will fade. We'll assign you a sweet romance in the next world. 6 or 7 hours? All because of her? I shouted. Every extra minute feels like torture. I was done. I opened the drawer, pulled out the knife, and ended it all in one clean. Motion? The system's voice stammered. Host. Why didn't you let me finish? Outside, the sky cracked open. Rain poured down. I just listened, quietly. My body was getting weaker by the second. Blood flowed freely, warm and endless. My vision blurred. The world faded into a dull gray. Somewhere in the background, the system buzzed faintly. My phone slipped from my fingers. The screen lit up notification after notification flooding. David leaks George's recording. George diagnosed with terminal stomach cancer. George's private medical records exposed. The screen flickered. The phone vibrated violently. Willow's name appeared again and again. She kept calling. But I was already gone. The George of this world had died. I couldn't answer. A few minutes later, her messages started coming in. George, what are you doing? Didn't we agree to leave each other alone? Pick up. I'm really mad this time. Answer me. That recording, it's fake, right? George, where are you? Then came the headlines. George says he's refusing treatment. George is dying.
David
Kept tagging me online, demanding a response. The 10 girls I'd spent time with were tracked down. Porters chased them. People started digging my hospital visits, my whereabouts, everything. The internet went into chaos. One side said I faked it all to sabotage her wedding. The other said if it was fake, I was a clown, and the truth would soon catch up to me. Videos and clips spread everywhere. Me deleting Willow's account, me coughing up blood at the bar, me smiling at Makoto and saying, "Groom, congratulations." Sincerely. Still, the rain didn't stop. Somewhere above, I watched it all floating, detached, distant. I didn't even know what I was waiting for. Eventually, people started arriving at the hill. Tires screeched against the wet road. Willow's car pulled up. She slammed the door shut and stormed toward mine. George, I'm warning you, she started, then stopped cold. A scream pierced the silence behind her. Wait, is that? Blood. Oh my God, there's so much blood. Someone shouted. We followed the location from George's last photo. It's his car, right? Willow froze. Slowly her gaze dropped. A pool of blood was trailing out from the car door, spreading across the pavement, mixing with the rain. She took one shaky step forward, then another, leaving bloody footprints in the grass. She stood there, staring at the door, completely still. Then the reporters pushed forward. One of them clenched his jaw and yanked the door open. He cried out and fell back in shock. Inside, it was chaos. Blood everywhere. A red-stained scene burned into their memory. I had made sure of that. Even if I couldn't feel pain anymore, I wanted the ending to have impact. Blood had poured. Out, soaking even the ground outside. Oh my God, call the police, someone shouted. Panic erupted. But Willow just stood there. Soaked in rain, frozen in place, her eyes were red. She stared at me, drenched and silent. A camera flash went off. Click. That broke her trance. Get away, she screamed, shoving the photographers. Leave him alone. She pushed through. The crowd knelt beside me, shielding me with her arms. Her eyes were wide, wild, desperate. People stepped back. Willow shook me. George, she cried. her white dress now soaked in both blood and tears. Her cries echoed across the hill. I floated above it all, watching. How ironic. 7 years of chasing her endless coldness, distance, rejection, and now she finally broke. What was the point of it all? The rain only got heavier. David showed up with the police. The moment he saw me, he froze. "No," he muttered, before rushing forward and pushing Willow out of the way. David and I had been through everything together. I didn't have family in this world, just him. We fought our way up side by side. That's why, when I asked for his help, he didn't even hesitate. Standing in the rain, he glared at Willow. "You're the bride, right? Why aren't you off enjoying your wedding? What are you doing here?" Snapped, his voice full of anger. He sneered. "Hey, didn't you say he disgusted you, that he was ruining your life with Makoto, but now changed your mind? You're pathetic. Stop putting on a show. Would George be like this if it wasn't for you?" He pointed at her, voice rising with emotion. "Every wedding anniversary will now be his death anniversary. Don't forget to light a candle every year." Willow tried to say something, but the police moved past them, ignoring the drama. Quietly, they made their way to my body. It was clear what had happened. I'd been a known figure, and this was the car I always used. I'd even installed a 24-hour dual dash cam in case of emergencies, inside and outside footage. Once they checked the recordings and did a quick investigation, they concluded there was no foul play. Still, one of the officers watching the dash cam footage muttered under his breath he really didn't hold back. No hesitation. I felt a little awkward hearing that. I mean, I had eaten the no-pain fruit, so it didn't actually hurt. Plus, I'd had a few drinks before doing it. Being a soul now helped me stay detached, though I did feel a little embarrassed. David, however, looked devastated. His eyes were bloodshot, and he turned to Willow with pure anger. "George told me he didn't want to live anymore," he said. Then, staring at all the blood soaking the pavement, he added through clenched teeth, "He must have been in so much pain." I wanted to tell him, "Bro, it's not that serious. I just clocked out early." But I remembered he couldn't hear me anymore. Sigh. Forget it. The police comforted David and asked both him and Willow to cooperate with the follow-up. Since it was no longer considered a homicide, the process moved along quietly. Willow didn't say much. She kept her head low, her fists clenched so tightly that her nails cut into her skin. As soon as they left the station, the reporters pounced. "Miss Liu, do you have any comments about George's death?" "Miss Liu, is your wedding with Makoto still happening today?" "Miss Liu, George's medical records have been leaked. What do you think of him choosing to die like this?" The questions came fast, non-stop. Willow didn't respond. She looked overwhelmed, shoved and pressed on by the crowd. Instead of answering, she turned to David. "Can you give him to me?" she asked. David let out a cold, bitter laugh. "You're not his wife. Why should I give him to you? You're the one who told him to leave." His voice cracked as he stared her down. Well, he listened. He left. You got what you wanted. Should be happy now, bride. So stop pretending. Who are you putting on this performance for? It's pointless. Then I saw David wipe his eyes and turn away, leaving Willow alone. In the middle of the crowd, I watched him walk off and let out a long, quiet sigh. The rain had finally stopped, but the people kept gathering. By now, the internet had already exploded with news. Some media outlets who had arrived with Willow had been live streaming when they found my body. Even though they quickly shut off their cameras and took the streams down, it was too late. Plenty of people had already seen what happened. The moment that car door opened, that awful image spread like wildfire. Everyone knew I was dead. Everyone knew it was brutal. Worst of all, everyone knew I died on Willow's wedding day. George has been confirmed dead. Sources say it was suicide and the scene was tragic. George's medical history has leaked. Experts claim he could have survived, maybe even lived a much longer life. Reliable sources confirm he received $1 billion breakup settlement from Willow. Money was never the problem. Treatment was within reach. Based on a final phone call with David, it seems George had already given up on living. He left everything to David. That was the talk online. Then came the interviews the 10 girls I had been rumored to be with. They went viral. George wasn't who you think, one said. He was kind, gentle, Nothing ever happened between us. They say we stayed in the same hotel room, but it was a huge suite. We didn't do anything. Watching them speak, I mouthed to myself, "Shut up." The way they were saying it made it sound like I couldn't do anything at all. I was sick. Okay? Sick. Is that so hard to understand? Use your brains, Luis. Eyes red with tears, said it was obvious I had planned everything. That the night I invited them over was the same day I broke up with Willow. I hadn't said it out loud, but they all guessed it. Ty was hoping she'd stop me. Laura nodded and added, "When we left that night, he told us this was Willow's last chance." I nearly jumped out of my ghostly body. Yeah, you guessed right, but stop guessing. Can't it be that I genuinely meant for it to be her last chance? She kept going. When George got drunk, he called out Willow's name in his sleep. Really loved her. Everyone knows it was Miss Lou who gave up on him. But even then, he took all the blame. He didn't know he was sick, she said. He always kept himself busy. He thought he was just trying to get over Willow. But looking back, he was clearly unwell, and still drinking through it. That must have been painful. Maybe he just didn't want to live anymore. At that point, I couldn't even respond in my head. Sure, I might have mumbled Willow's name in my sleep, but it wasn't sweet. At her, cursing her. Honestly, I'm lucky. I'm a ghost now. If I were still alive, I'd probably die all over again this time, from sheer social embarrassment. Funny how things turn out. When I was alive, everyone blamed me for breaking up with Willow. They said I was trash, selfish, had no shame. I showed up on her wedding day just to ruin it all. They hated me. But the moment I died, everything flipped. Suddenly, everyone loved me. People started editing videos, sad music, soft filters, dramatic quotes like I was some tragic romantic hero. Now they say I loved Willow deeply. Now they're mourning me and the internet. For once it all agreed. What a joke. I sat in Willow's car, staring at her miserable face, wondering what could possibly be going through her mind. Just a while ago, her assistant Lisa had shown up with a few people to pull her out of the chaos. Now we were on the road again, heading who knows where. Lisa sat in the front seat, glancing nervously at Willow in the back. "Miss Lou, where should we go? The whole city's surrounded." "Everyone's on edge," Lisa said gently. After a moment of silence, she hesitated again, and about Makoto. Her voice trailed off. She couldn't bring herself to say more. The car just kept circling through the city, aimless. Once, twice, 3 full loops. Then Willow suddenly spoke. "Stop the car." The driver hit the brakes immediately. She looked ahead, eyes blank. "Get out," Willow ordered. The driver and Lisa exchanged a confused look, but they obeyed. Quietly, they stepped out of the car. Willow got out too, but only to walk around and take the wheel. She sat in the driver's seat, started the engine, without even looking back, muttered, "The wedding's canceled." Lisa rushed to the window, panicking. "Miss Lou, what are you doing?" But Willow didn't answer. She drove off. I hitched a ride with her, sitting silently in the passenger seat, watching the lights of the city blur past us. The streetlights flickered on and off, shadows dancing across her tired face. I looked at her profile blank, tense and honestly. I didn't even know what I was feeling anymore. She drove straight to my old house. That was the password. July 23rd, her birthday. I hadn't been back there in days. The place was coated in dust. As soon as she stepped inside, she turned on the lights and stopped in the entryway, staring up at the photo of us on the wall. "George," she whispered, the sound of her voice echoing through the empty space. No answer. "George." She called again, like maybe, just maybe I'd pop out from around the corner and say, "Just kidding." Surprise. But of course, there was nothing. Only silence. Suddenly, she started rummaging through the place like a storm pulling. Open drawers, throwing things aside, tearing through cabinets like she was trying to find something that could bring me back. The house quickly turned into a wreck, but she didn't stop. Eventually, she found something. My old diagnosis report. Tucked away in the nightstand, her hands trembled as she opened it, eyes scanning every word. "This can't be real," she whispered to herself. "George, you're lying to me." She read until her eyes landed on the final verdict: stomach cancer, mid-stage, urgent. Hospitalization recommended. A single tear dropped onto the page right on the date. That was the day I went to see her. Her hand shook uncontrollably. Then suddenly she tore the report apart, shredded it like the truth itself was something she could erase. The papers fluttered down like dead leaves. Then she snapped. She stormed through the house, knocking things over, raging like a woman possessed. Her frustration and grief poured out in wild, messy chaos. Finally, she yanked open the fridge and grabbed a bottle of liquor, something I'd been saving, and started drinking straight from it. That's when her phone buzzed. She blinked through her tears, glancing down at the screen. A message from Lisa. "Miss Lou, I got the dashcam footage from the police. I've sent it to your email. Please check it." Seconds later, another ping. A new email. She opened it, clicked on the video, and there it was. The final moments before I died. Lisa had even added a short note. "Mr. George called David after taking a photo of the bird. He probably meant to send it to you. But after reading your message, he posted it online instead. Later, he got another message from you. And after that, he seemed to lose control. Then he grabbed the knife." Willow watched the video over and over again, and again staring at the final messages she had sent me. Then suddenly she laughed. "George, was this your way of getting back at me?" She laughed harder, but her tears wouldn't stop. "Well, you won? Happy now?" I just stared at her in disbelief. Seriously, did she really think someone would go as far as ending their own life just to get revenge? How stupid! No, I wasn't trying to punish her. I was just a man who had failed miserably at winning her heart. "System," I asked, "what do you think she meant by that?" "I don't know," it replied flatly. "I'm just a program. I don't understand human emotions or all these complicated feelings." "Fair enough," I sighed. Then something hit me and I asked, "Wait, why is my departure taking so long?" The system sounded a little annoyed. "You didn't let me finish earlier? You were supposed to stay in this world for 10 more days? But you forced your exit early, 'cause your time wasn't up. Now you're stuck. You have to hang around a bit longer," it added. "The higher-ups think you tried to exploit a system bug, so they extended your stay. And they said that if you try anything like this again next time, you won't be floating around. You'll be trapped inside your dead body until it decays." I imagined that for a second and immediately decided not to imagine it again. I looked back at Willow. She was still downing alcohol, one glass after another. I just shook my head. She drank until she was stumbling, and then rushed into the bathroom to throw up. While she was in there, her phone started ringing. It was Lisa. "What is it?" Willow croaked. "Miss Lou." "I wouldn't call you right now if it wasn't important," Lisa said, pausing. "But David's at the crematorium. They're getting ready to cremate Mr. George. Do you want to come?" Willow stood frozen for a moment. Then she said quietly, "Give me the address." As soon as Lisa gave it to her, Willow grabbed her coat and rushed out the door. She arrived just in time, right as they were about to slide my body into the furnace. Watching the scene unfold from where I was, it felt surreal. "Wait," Willow shouted, running forward. "Wait." David spun around, fury in his eyes. "You've got some nerve showing up here," he snapped. "Get the hell out." Willow looked like she might collapse right there. Her eyes were red, her voice trembling. "David, I just want to see him. One last time. Please. See him." David let out a cruel, bitter laugh. "Don't tell me you haven't watched the dashcam footage. If it weren't for you, George wouldn't be dead right now." He stepped closer, glaring at her. "Gee, you think George would have wanted you here? If he saw you now, he'd probably sit up out of rage just to throw you out himself. You don't get to mourn him. You killed the only brother I had." But Willow didn't move. She stood there, frozen in place. Seeing that, David snapped. He stormed up to her and slapped her hard. The sound echoed through the room. Blood trickled from the corner of Willow's mouth. Lisa arrived just in time to see it happen. She rushed over in shock. "David, you can't do that. What you're doing is illegal. Stop hitting her. Miss Lou is hurting too. Suffering." David scoffed, his voice shaking with emotion. She doesn't even know what that word means. Where was all this pain when George was alive? He pointed at Willow in disgust. She was about to marry someone else. Don't you get it? Was probably praying for George to die. You want to know what her last message to him was? She told him that a good ex should be as good as dead. Lisa stepped in front of Willow, trying to calm him down. I know this looks bad, she said. But you can't just hit a woman before she could even finish her sentence. David slapped her too. Lisa froze in place, stunned and silent, her cheek burning. David glared at Willow, who stood there quietly, her eyes fixed on my body. Why aren't you saying anything? He snapped. Can't talk? Or do you need someone to speak for you? Willow stayed silent, her lips pressed tightly together. Say something, David shouted, his voice breaking. He was losing control, completely crushed by grief. I felt an overwhelming wave of sadness. I wanted to tell him not to cry, to say I was okay, that I'd be moving on soon. But no matter. What I wished no one could hear me anymore? Finally, Willow's lips moved. After a long pause, she whispered, I'm sorry. David laughed bitterly. You're sorry? His laugh was sharp and painful. He looked at her, with eyes full of rage, and said coldly, If you're really sorry, then fine. Go join him. I'll let you see him one last time. Willow slowly lifted her head. Blood still trickled from the corner of her mouth, staining her dress, but she didn't respond. She just stood there, silent. David was ready to hurl more insults, but before he could speak again, blood suddenly splattered. Miss Lou, Lisa shouted, rushing over, but it was already too late. Willow had made the same choice I did. Lisa grabbed the knife from her hand and tried to stop the bleeding, dialing emergency services at the same time. Willow pushed her away. She looked straight at David, who stood frozen, completely stunned. I just want to see him one last time, she said, David's hands clenched into fists. His knuckles turned white. I'll take that as a yes, Willow murmured, and slowly walked over to where my body lay. She didn't speak. She just stood there, looking at me. Blood kept dripping, and her face grew paler by the second. Sirens wailed in the distance. David finally spoke, his voice low. Did you love him? Willow stared blankly at my face. Her lips were almost colorless. I don't know, she said softly. I just feel really sad, like my heart's broken. David opened his mouth like he wanted to say something, but in the end he stayed quiet. Over here this way, she's... Here! Lisa's voice shouted as the medics arrived. Willow took one last look at me. Then she whispered, I'm sorry, I'll be with you soon. She bent down, as if trying to kiss me one last time, but collapsed before she could reach me. Lisa and the medics rushed her into the ambulance, sirens echoing around us. David just stood there, lost in thought. So, should we go ahead with the cremation? One of the staff asked, breaking the silence. David blinked, then gave a small nod. All right then, the worker replied and started the process. I watched my body slowly turn to ash, flames rising around it. I turned to the system. You think she really loved me? Wait, are you seriously catching feelings right now? The system teased. Shut up, I muttered. Why do you always take it that way? I just want to know. She loved me. Does that mean my mission is done? Can I cash in my points? You're dreaming, the system replied flatly. Whether she loved you or not doesn't matter now. I'm already preparing your next world. When it's time, we'll go. Don't try to comfort me with that cold attitude, I said. Come on, don't be sad over someone heartless, the system replied. The next world will be better, I promise. Fine, I sighed. Just pick a sweet one this time. I can't take another heartbreak. Got it. This system knows what it's doing, it reassured me. All right, prepare for transition. Countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2.1. As the countdown echoed in my mind, I watched the sunset cast a golden glow over everything. I turned to David and softly said goodbye. He looked in my direction, like he could sense something, waved one last time.